Peace, family. In this week's video, we wanted to talk about our perspective around the calendar, around cycles and rhythms and time, and the reasons why the Gregorian calendar isn't necessarily what we orient our lives by.
A voice calling from within our core.
What are we here for? We realize that our power lies
And how we live our lives.
and how we choose to show up.
So we choose to show up as rooted grounds. And this is our living prayer. Prayer from the earth,
On a path to reclaim our name.
nature, ancestral medicine to heal our home. We sow this prayer in our bodies between many hands and upon our land.
In direct response to self-hate, full scarce, and ecological discordancy.
But it's simple for real. We plant fruit forests and concrete jungle.
Inspiring youth to lead us out the struggle.
Nourishing our bodies as living proof.
Sharing all we do to amplify this truth.
Yeah, we documenting it all.
Bringing it to music and throw this call. And personal line.
Yeah, we standing tall, rooted crowns. Let's rock with it, y'all.
It's imposed on us by the mainstream society, by colonization. It's imposed itself on people all across the planet. But the calendar itself, the Gregorian calendar, has very little to do with nature. And what good is a calendar that isn't helping us find ourselves within the cycles and rhythms of nature? What is time other than cycles and rhythms? And if you look at the Gregorian calendar, you'll see that even it's been recently changed, and kind of corrupted and adapted many times. If you think about September, Sept is 7, but it's the 9th month. October is 8, but it's the 10th month. And Novi is 9, but November is the 11th month. And Deca is 10, but December is the 12th month. So somewhere along the line, there were 2 months just added to the calendar. And those, I was told, those were July and August, and those were rulers, Roman rulers who inserted themselves in the calendar because they wanted to have their own month to be worshipped by. Other than having to, navigate through the system that we're a part of, the society, there's really no place to use this calendar. And so this new year, doesn't really have that much significance for me. I grew up celebrating with the Hebrew calendar. We had our holidays, as a Jewish family, celebrating our holidays at different points of the year, but it had nothing to do with the Gregorian calendar. The calendar was, you never knew when the holidays would fall out because it had to do with the Hebrew calendar, which was lunar, a lunar calendar it's a lunar calendar that readjusts itself to realign with the solar rhythms as well. Because you think about the sun's rhythm and the moon's rhythm are different rhythms, and they don't exactly line up. And so in the Hebrew calendar, they found a way that every month was, at the beginning of the month it's a new moon, the middle of the month it's a full moon, and then it gradually goes back to a new moon at the end of the month, and the cycle goes over and over again. But the days, I believe it's 256 days in a lunar year. So in order to realign with the solar year, Hebrew calendar adds a month every 4 years to kind of recalibrate. With the Hebrew calendar, all of our holidays, or the main holidays, were all marked with harvest or planting or agricultural, rhythms that you can tell the calendar was very much in order to align, us humans in the cycles of nature understand where.
In that geography.
Yeah, in that area. So everywhere on the planet, you know, the calendar is gonna look different because, you know, it's in relation to your surroundings, in relation to the rhythms of nature in that place. And so there isn't one calendar to fit all, you know, to fit everybody. But, you know, you may be able to get insights from studying, you know, different calendars, you know, at this point in time. And, you know, most traditional calendars, ancient calendars were for this purpose, were to bring humans in tune with the cycles and rhythms of nature. You know, if we look at the origins of, you know, early calendars and civilization, another calendar that I am oriented by is the Kemetic calendar. With the Ethiopian calendar is also, like, I believe, almost exactly, you know, in line with the Kemetic calendar, in that there's 12 months, 30 days, exactly 30 days each month, and then a 13th month with 5 days, and every 4 years, 6 days. So that is where we get the leap year from. And the leap year actually comes from these calendars they're not just basing off the sun, the moon, and the earth, but also the Sirius star. And according to Kemetic traditions, you know, as brought by Master Naba, the Musa Moradeni Big, the Sirius star plays a huge impact on the earth energetically. And you know, the Dogon people have been preserving this knowledge, you know, maintaining this knowledge. They were Kemetic priests, and they were maintaining this relationship with a star that we can't even see. We can't, Sirius B, we can't even see it, but they had this knowledge, you know, of its presence and its impact on the earth. And the rainy seasons, right here, I'm gonna just shift position. Yeah, how you doing?
Very cute dog.
But yeah, so the when the Sirius star and the sun rise together on the horizon in, you know, what here would be like around the fall, like September, around there, end of the summer, early fall, that would mark the coming of the rains, and the new year actually would begin then at that time in Kemet. And so there's a lot of calendars that have their new year. You know, the Ethiopian calendar, the Hebrew calendar, Kemetic calendar, all have their new year right there at the kind of beginning of the rainy season. And if you think of it, they're all along the Nile meridian, you know, the meridian on the earth of the Nile Valley. They all share that. And so that's interesting, you know, to just understand, like, in different places. I believe the Chinese have their New Year in February sometime, or in the winter, what would be our winter. But anyway, you know, the point of this video is really not to get too in-depth into all that information, but to just to give a general, you know, like, understanding, like, why do we have calendars? Like, why are we trying to measure time? Is it just, you know, so that we can, you know, be like, let's meet on this day and we have a common day? I mean, that's one thing. That's convenient. That's functional, you know, to have common, you know, common measurement of time to orient ourselves with others, but also to orient ourselves in nature, in, you know, from the rhythms inside of us, our heartbeat, you know, the pulses of our nerves. You know, that's all a rhythm. There's a rhythm to that. There's frequencies on every level, and, you know, we're able to gauge where we fit in the existence by seeing the cycles all the way in the cosmos to the cycles within ourselves. And you know, this counting of cycles is such a serious practice. You know, Kemetic tradition has been counting cycles of 1,461 years. I mean, think about how many cycles it takes to figure out that that's even a cycle. That's beyond our lifetime. So, you know, that means you got to preserve that knowledge to the next generation, and that next generation is to count what you've been counting and keep counting until 1,461 years later, multiple times, you know, you'd be like, oh wow, so the Sirius star, there's an eclipse with the Sirius star every 1,461 years. I mean, that's a serious practice, and so this is no joke. You know, it's not a light thing to just have a calendar that's based on how do we make money from the public, or how do we colonize a people by inserting a calendar that has emperors and rulers' names as the months because they want to be worshipped. You know, it's like, that's not a light thing. You know, we're giving our energy to that. We're invoking that every time we, you know, orient our lives with these calendars. And, you know, I'm not speaking from somebody who's been able to rid it of my life. Of course, I use it. You know, I grew up with it. And, you know, I use it to navigate through the system. But like I said, you know, this isn't my new year. You know, it's but, you know, to all those who are celebrating, you know, it's always a great time, you know, to start fresh and to reflect, you know, upon like the last cycle, because there's cycles that happen daily, yearly, and every day, you know. So I know for us, there's a lot of cycles that repeat, that are coming to a close and beginning at this time. You know, we don't call it I don't call it my new year, but it is a new cycle. And you got something to say, Pele?
Saying his phone gonna die if you don't keep
Phone gonna die. All right. Well, this is one of the greatest cycles that exist: birth, life, maturation, decay, and death, rebirth. But anyway, I'm gonna turn the focus to Ife. Ife, you got anything to share?
Just that, you know, I agree. Like, I think you can be empowered within anything that arises, and I think it's also important to have a context that's wider than what you're presented with, to choose to understand the issues. You know, like another thing that with this calendar that I was exposed to is that every month has different amounts to feed that baby. So you know, I just
right, like 1 month I have 28 days.
Yeah, you know, you have no
30,
way of really
31.
knowing unless you reference back or you sing a song. It's not intuitive, and so it's knowing that this calendar is not for your flow, it's for someone else's flow in your colonization, and understanding that, just knowing what you're using it for. You're using it to navigate this colonized society, and also there are other calendars that you can integrate into your life, like the Kemetic calendar, Hebrew calendar. There's a calendar called the 13 moon calendar. I think the Mayans had 12 calendars that they used or something like that. Don't quote me, but they had more than one calendar. So I think just being flexible and empowered within your choices is a good idea when it comes to everything. Alright, we're gonna cut this short because this video about to die. I mean, this camera's and phone's about to die, and my baby needs to eat, and I'm cold. So thank you for watching. We look forward to seeing y'all next week, where we things are gonna be interesting. We got to start shaking things up. So let's see what we got.
To close. Yeah, we about to embark on a journey, and so we'll see how the video is gonna go, but we'll definitely try and take y'all along with us, you know, through our journey south to St. Helena Island, South Carolina. And we're excited for this transition. And it's definitely marking a new chapter of life for us. So with that, you know, peace to everybody, blessings, you know, on your journey, in this new cycle in your life. And you know, we hope you got something out this video, you know, that we're able to find ourselves within time and space, within the rhythms and cycles of nature, you know, where we fit between all our relations, you know, with all our relations. And with that, peace.